Welcome everybody. As we know, Candace Owens is live. She went live a little while ago, but we're going to start it from the beginning. I am getting my hashtags and stuff done real quick. Put on a movie for my daughters so we can get this shit popping. We can continue to run it up. So give me a moment while I get my hashtags going. We'll actually start the live and let it play while I get all my stuff going. Then I'll kind of stop the video and have a little monologue. But let's start the live here. She just started this a little while ago.
Because the tapestry is unraveling, right? I mean, there has been an extremely carefully woven tapestry of deception in all of our lives. And I think that Charlie Kirk's assassination, while of course it was a tragedy, has also worked to awaken the world to a deeper evil, something more sinister that sits below. So today we are going to talk about the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, because suddenly Kash Patel wants to distance the feds from them. I don't really think that's possible, and I'm wondering why he chose yesterday to do that.
What, baby?
Plus, we received a few tips regarding the woman who is missing from the footage, and while we certainly cannot confirm that it's actually this individual, we do find the fact that she gave a public testimony to be pretty interesting. What she says is interesting. Also, what she does for a living is even more interesting. Our witness tree grows. Welcome back to Candace.
All right, guys, I got my hashtags and stuff written down. I've just been running it up lately, and I really just try to get everything going right away in the beginning. I am going to put my Kick stream, my Kick link, and my Rumble link down below in the description.
Okay, I need you guys locked in because things are becoming increasingly interesting. Okay. Yesterday, the FBI made a rather curious announcement. They announced that they were going to cut ties with the ADL, right? You know what the ADL is, the Anti Defamation League. And the reasons, well, because they had listed Charlie Kirk and his organization, TPUSA, to be extremist. Everybody's an extremist according to the ADL. But I want you guys to know that this is not a subtle announcement. We need to unpack this announcement because I don't care what side of the aisle that you are on, you need to understand that the ADL is not, nor has it ever been, what it purports to be. Okay. Purports to be, oh, we're just looking out and hate speech and extremism. No, 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 no. The reality is the ADL was born out of a Jewish Freemason organization known as B'nai B'rith. Now, if you're on my book club, you know this, but Sigmund Freud was a member of B'nai B'rith. We were discussing, we're reading right now the book, The Assault on Truth, and Sigmund Freud is very relevant. You have to learn the history of Sigmund Freud. He's in all of our schools, all of our universities, taught as a hero, the history of the psychoanalytic movement. Look, the reality is, him and all of his homies were covering up for incestuous child abuse. That is a fact. Okay. They can't wipe that stain away. Quite literally, the way that they did this was through the mechanism of gaslighting. That's what he is the father of, public gaslighting. Okay. That's what modern psychology is. They moved to instead diagnose people who were being abused, right? They were using their credentials. I'm a this, I'm a that, to make people, maybe the wider public, believe that their gaslighting was actually legitimate.
Anyways, had to go deal with my kids, so my bad. Everybody in here, double tap that screen, show some love and support, hit the subscribe button. On the road to 10,000 subs. We've been going up 100 something subs every stream, so let's continue to run it up. I appreciate you guys. Just like I said, double tap your screen with your finger, get the likes up, and I'm going to post my Kick and my Rumble down into the description so you guys can get your name written down on the wall behind me. with Sharpie, like everybody else has so far that has followed. I want to try and get my kick and my rumble to over 100 followers as soon as I can. So much love to you guys. Double tap that screen, show some love and support. And Dazalian, if you don't care, then leave the stream. You're just another keyboard warrior loser.
That is what the book, The Assault on Truth, unpacks. It is therefore a must read because you have to realize how horrific the crimes were that were being committed that they were covering for. So Sigmund Freud was in B'nai B'rith, and the ADL was born out of B'nai B'rith. Why? Well, because they put the organization together to defend a pedophile and a murderer. His name is Leo Frank. Leo Frank was an unbelievably wealthy Jewish factory owner down in Atlanta. And this is 1913. It's very relevant. You should know this happened in 1913. And this is the American South. You know what was going on there. And Mary Fagan was a 13-year-old girl who worked at his pencil factory. She was found brutally raped. Okay, she's a Catholic girl, by the way. I want to say that. She was a young Catholic girl. And Leo Frank, even with all of his money, all of his connections, the best lawyers that money could buy, connections all the way to the Supreme Court, he was so guilty of what happened that despite the fact that he tried to pin it on a poor Black janitor, even in the segregated South, where people were just like, hey, give us any reason and we will go lynch a Black person, the racist segregated South, they still found him guilty. Okay. They still found Leo Frank guilty. And so much has been written to try to obscure this still. They are still trying to defend Leo Frank. What happened then is that his buddies over at the Freemasonic Lodge, B'nai B'rith, assembled the ADL to gaslight the public. No, Leo Frank wasn't guilty. Look what happened after. He was lynched for what he did to Mary Fagan. He is actually a victim of anti-Semitism. That's it. He wasn't guilty. I'm sure maybe the Black guy did it in 1913 Atlanta, and everyone conspired to set attack.
Thank you, Suzanne. Much love to everybody who's in here. Make sure you guys go ahead and I just put it in the description. Click the three dots right up by my face. Go click my kick and my rumble. Follow them. If you follow both of them, your name will be written down on my wall with Sharpie twice. If you follow one of them, your name will be written down once. Thank you guys for the support. We got a bunch of followers last night. Let's continue to run up the followers today. Double tap that screen. Let's try and get the likes up to at least 100 likes right off rip. Double tap your screen. It's that easy to give a like. Hit the subscribe button. We're almost to 7,000 subscribers. We just passed 6,000 this last Saturday. Hopefully we can pass 7,000 this coming Saturday. That'd make it so we got 1,000 subscribers in a week. That'd be awesome. But let me shut up and quit rambling. Let's enjoy the video. I love you guys. Love you, Suzanne. Love you, everybody who's in here showing love and support. Thank you guys so much again. Double tap that screen, click the links below, and hit the subscribe button.
A wealthy factory owner. Like I said, to this day, they are using those mechanisms to try to gaslight us and to pretend that Leo Frank was really the victim in this tragedy. It's utterly demented. I will never let it stand. He killed Mary Fagan. He is still guilty of that crime, no matter how much the ADL tries to obscure that. And by the way, if you want to learn more, you should learn more about Mary Fagan's murder. I can point you guys, there's a book called The Murder of Little Mary Fagan, and it is written by a relative of hers. And that relative's name is also Mary Fagan. You should read the details of what happened 100 years ago. You should read the facts around it, read the case documents, learn about the brutal rape and the murder and what happened thereafter, because so much has been written since to try to obscure those facts. So go to the family member as a source. Do that in your own spare time. In fact, maybe I should add it to the book club list. Anyways, the reason why I'm telling you that is because there is it really is a very crucial element of our history that you need to come to terms with, right? The modern media machine, all of these journalists who lie and gaslight, you're seeing it right now, what they're writing about me, it's insane. They are students of effectively the psychoanalytic community. Let's gaslight and then we will diagnose. Gaslight and diagnose. Seeing it happen in real time pertaining to the Charlie Kirk case. We watched him be murdered, and then we watched the feds lie to us rather fanatically. The text messages, I think, were really the what is going on. And now they're yelling at us for noticing. Like we are all being abused right now by the press, right? They're trying to spin it. No, I can't believe people have questions. The conspiracies are so bad. These text messages were totally legit. Anybody who wants to investigate it further, crazy. Oh, just totally crazy. We're all clinically insane. We should probably consult a physician. How dare we? It's inappropriate. Candace, this is, they always say this, she must be suffering from postpartum psychosis. Okay, whatever you want to call the thing is that I'm suffering from when you watch your friend catch a bullet in the neck, you can call it that. Diagnose it if you need to. Anyways, you guys, the time has come for us to wake up. Now, it should unnerve you with that little bit of history that despite their well documented
Shout out you, Mariska. Much love to you. Shout out France. Welcome to the family. Double tap that screen, hit the subscribe button. Much love, much love.
founding, the ADL is so powerful of an organization that they have been directing the FBI for years. Okay. They label people who tell the truth extremists, they put them on a list. I think it effectively works as a hit list. And then they direct and work with the FBI in partnership to go after those extremists. Okay. That is a very weird relationship, a strange relationship, an immoral relationship, and a corrupt relationship. Now, I want you to know that I learned that recently, last year, that both the left and the right work with the ADL. Okay. There was this lie that's told publicly. I believed it, that it's just the left. It's all left leaning. No, 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 no. They work with both the left and the right. The neocons on the right side work arm in arm with the ADL and feed them names, primarily of anyone, I should say, who is an enemy to the state of Israel. So currently, you have Trump people who I guess are trying to save face for their remarkable lack of curiosity as it pertains to who assassinated Charlie Kirk, who loved them and worked did whatever he could to support their administration. They're trying to save face and pretend that they're upset, like, oh, we're going to do something. It's not okay that this happened. Look over here. Right. Oh, look
Yes,
over here. The ADL put Charlie
both
Kirk on a
parties are
list.
definitely
Now that
dirty,
he's
Gloria,
dead,
for sure.
we demand post justice. And Cash Patel's doing that. He's acting right now. He's pretending that he's delivering some form of justice. I think Elon Musk tweeted about Charlie Kirk and TPUSA being on the list, and then it kind of caught fire. And this became the new conservative talking point. The ADL must pay for that. And sure enough, the FBI director, Kash Patel, announced yesterday that this is over. Yes, the ADL was training FBI agents and sharing intelligence in partnership with the FBI. The FBI and the ADL had a partnership sharing intel. They were training agents, and he says no more. Okay, he wrote this in a tweet. James Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful ops spying on Americans. That era is over. The FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs. Now, if you're on the right, you're supposed to go, yay, justice served. If you're on the left, you're maybe going to be happy that the ADL responded very graciously to this. They issued a statement immediately. They said, as we prepare to observe the holiest day of the year on the Jewish calendar,
Shout
just
out
like that was
W
their
Dill
vision
on
somehow,
Kick.
we
Sorry,
have
I
seen the
usually am
statement
just
from
looking at
the
my YouTube chats.
FBI director
Shout out
Patel
God damn it.
regarding the FBI's relationship.
Shout out everybody on Kick. Shout out everybody on Rumble. Sorry, I usually am just looking at my YouTube chats off my phone, but I try to pivot back over to StreamYard so I can see everybody on Kick. Thank you guys for being here, and make sure you guys double tap that screen and hit the subscribe button. Welcome in W Dill. Let's try and get to 100 followers on each account. Like I said, on my description on YouTube, go hit the Rumble and Kick account, go follow, and you get your name written on my wall. Real easy like that. So
ADL has deep respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and law enforcement officers at all levels across the country who work tirelessly every single day to protect all Americans, regardless of their ancestry, religion, ethnicity, faith, political affiliation, or any other point of difference. In light of an unprecedented surge of anti Semitism, we remain more committed than ever to our core purpose to protect the Jewish people. You should know that all of that you just heard, okay, is BS. Okay. It's slave slop. We are the slaves, and they are serving us slop right now. The illusion that things are changing, the illusion that it's left versus right, or that it's Jewish Americans versus everybody else. Hey, Jewish Americans, if you're watching this, you want to wake up to the ADL, is not your friend at all. They don't care about what happens to you. If you need more proof, you should know that they curiously removed the Azov battalion. They're carving swastikas on their head. Ukrainians murdering people. They removed them from the hate list. Candace Owens is on there, though. I'm sure you guys go to bed and you're worried about Candace Owens and not the people that are carving freaking swastikas on their head and murdering people. Okay. They don't care. That's all. This is all just slop. Left versus right illusion, whatever it is. But the more important question that I want to get to is why now? Why are they putting on this performative bit right now? Well, yesterday I made an offhand remark about the ADL and the FBI sharing an office in Connecticut. Now, I know this because I'm from Connecticut, so there's no way to try to obscure that fact. Back in 2023, actually, a Catholic investigator revealed this and shared it. He addressed it in a series of tweets. Kyle Undercover wrote, I gathered property records for the 19 different.
Make sure everybody on Kick and Rumble like the stream, follow if you haven't already, double tap that screen on YouTube. If you haven't already, went and followed my Kick and my Rumble from my YouTube, hit the three dots above my head, go to the description, copy and paste in the URL, go follow your boy. Much love to you guys. Thank you everybody on Kick and Rumble as well who is here. Double tap that screen on YouTube, hit the like button on Kick and Rumble, and hit the follow button. Much love.
Different states that the ADL has a regional office established. The report reveals that in the state of Connecticut, the ADL shares an office space with the FBI. They also share an office space with the United Nations in New York. Now, same building, across the hall, whatever. That's a fact. And it makes sense. You shouldn't be that shocked when they're owning the fact that they share information. It's easier to share information if you're sharing an office space, right? Anyways, he goes on and he writes, after reviewing the 19 ADL offices, we can see an alarming trend. 63% of the ADL's regional offices are located within various banking institutions. 42% are located within various law firms, ranging from immigration to criminal law. You should keep that in mind for what we're going to talk about later on the show. And 10% are located in Jewish institutions. So you get the point. Why am I telling you this? Because after I made that offhand remark yesterday, I received a rather stunning tip, which I have been able to corroborate, that out of all of the FBI boroughs.
All right, guys. By the way, we're at 6,587 subs. Yesterday, our last stream, we gained 200 total subscribers yesterday. Let's try and hit 6,800 subs tonight, y'all. That's let's see, that's 313 subs, man. Let's run it up. Let's try and get as many subs as we can. Everybody in here, hit that subscribe button. Show some love and support. We're on the road to 10K. I love you guys so much. Thank you. We got we got 500,000 views the past 7 days. We're doing so good. Thank you guys so much. I'm so grateful. I love you.
Boroughs in the United States, regarding which there are 55 main boroughs and over 350 satellite boroughs. The FBI sent the specific Connecticut borough down to UVU after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. To help investigate the assassination, okay, let's just look at the map again. They decided to go upwards on the East Coast and to send the field office from that borough to UVU. I'm wondering why they did that. I'd like an answer. We're probably not going to get it. We're not getting answers in anything. I wonder what moved them to send that particular borough, okay, down to UVU. It just feels like you got a lot around you, a lot of options. It wasn't exactly like necessary for you to do that. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, and yeah, that person provided proof. They said we are 1,000% certain. I said I'm going to need to see proof. Unbelievably, I'd like to know why they did that. Right. I'd like to know why suddenly now Kash Patel is making a strong statement against the ADL. All of that just feels a little too close to comfort. And by the way, how do you separate when you're just across the hall? Let's just think that you guys are not speaking to each other anymore. Are we supposed to be this dumb? Okay. Completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Wanted to share that. Okay. Anyways, jumping back into more oddities that occurred on that day, despite having these federal agents from Connecticut. Now, I have presented to you just.
All right, guys. I figured since yesterday you guys didn't see them, I figured I'd show you guys our new little beardy we got. Here, let me go down to Aubrey. Hold on, wait. Say hello. Say welcome to the See Me Now family, and please hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 10,000 subs, and double tap that screen so we can also get to 100, 200 likes. Go follow the Rumble and Kick down below. Show some love and support there. My beardy said so. Mwah, All right, I'll stop.
Thus far, right? That a lot of these witnesses that immediately spoke out to say, here's what happened, here's how many shots, here's what I heard, that they had strange connections to the government or like weren't from UVU at all, were coming from overseas, didn't really make sense. I was trying to understand that. And yesterday, of course, we were trying to figure out who was this mysterious woman that was allegedly seen helping the shooter change clothes. I got that one tip from an individual, completely unrelated, said, yes, there was footage of a person helping the shooter change clothes. And then suddenly we were able to discern at the very least that someone in the Broderick Lyman family certainly acknowledges that there was a woman at the very least who she
Thomas Hamilton. Hey, my little reptilian brother. I'm glad that you are our fellow reptile brother. Shout out to you and your juvenile crocodile, bro. We're running it up in the name of reptilians. Welcome to the family, bro. Double tap that screen. Love you, homie. My girl is 3. Love you
suspected
guys.
could
Double
have
tap
been
that
an
screen.
accomplice. She didn't say anything about the person changing clothes, but we can watch that clip again to hear what she says.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here, was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep.
Okay. So we received a couple of tips pertaining to who that woman might have been, according to rumors circulating around Orem. And I want to be very clear when we say that this is a rumor, I mean that you should take this information with a grain of salt. We cannot present it at face value because we don't have the footage, right? I cannot say this is a fact. I can say that this lead became more interesting to me, and that the FBI should clarify things. It's that simple. Let us see all the footage. But they don't seem even remotely interested in trying to help us clarify anything. Anyways, the name that we had received was, it turned out, somebody that actually provided the only eyewitness testimony of having seen the shooter up close, limping. So it's possible, just to run the other side of things, that this woman captured both of them walking back to back and she just was walking near him and she had nothing to do with helping him change. That's all possible. And you should consider that possibility. We don't have answers. But there's something else that's interesting about her. Like I said, the testimony that she provided is interesting. And she is the only person that saw the shooter limping up close. And her name, and we know this because she spoke to the news, they all did, is Olivia Robertson Cobb Bishop. Let's listen to her testimony now.
I kind of realized the type of street I was on, a little bit more secluded, you know.
Olivia Bishop retraces her steps where she came face to face with Charlie Kirk's alleged killer.
Just looking over, seeing that he was limping, kind of being like, oh, okay. And then long black shirt, kind of thinking that's kind of weird. It's kind of super hot outside.
Bishop says something seemed a little off.
I did look over at him and he was kind of like that was his face, just kind of like not a smile or anything.
From the expressionless demeanor, long sleeve shirt during a hot summer day, to the limp.
It's kind of odd. I don't know. Like now that I think about it, it's just very like chilling to me.
Chilling after reading charging documents online and seeing this video of Robinson walking away from UVU after Kirk was shot. That's when she realized she'd been only feet away from the accused killer. Now she questions whether she could have done more.
Had I seen the imprint of a rifle down his leg, if I had looked at him a little longer, then immediately after that happened, would I have thought back to him, you know, and been able to like alert authorities quicker.
Bishop realizes there's nothing she could have done differently.
But just to have been like an eyewitness to him on his way there is just shocking to me.
I got to say, when I saw that, I was actually kind of giddy because I was like, finally, it looks like a college student from UVU who is speaking to the news. That's great. And of course, I then had to wonder what she was studying. And it turns out, no, she doesn't go to UVU. I don't know. A lot of these people were not available that day. But What she does for a living is quite interesting because there's an emerging pattern. And for whatever reason, nobody who spoke to the press said what their connections were. It turns out that she works for the Orem Police Department. She's a record specialist. And I should tell you guys, kind of unbelievably, in August, you're going to believe this, they kind of lost a lot of people that were working at the department. There's a Facebook post, people that were retiring, a lot of changes that were happening. I don't know when she started working there, but she works the Orem Police Department, and we're hearing a lot of stuff about some plausible corruption that might be going on there. And I just said, wow, okay. Curiously, she also purports to be a close witness to when Charlie got shot. And I'm wondering, if you work for the Orem Police Department, what were you doing going to a Charlie Kirk event in the middle of the day? Like, assuming that's a full-time job, Charlie spoke on a Wednesday. What were you doing there at all, actually? Is this like the longest lunch break ever? Meeting up with some friends, she says. Meeting up with some friends. Okay. Another thing that we were able to learn is that she met up with her husband. Like, how are all of these people just allowed to leave work to hear Charlie Kirk speak? I'm interested. So I reach out, obviously, today, called the records office, sent her a text. We were able to find her number. She doesn't want to speak about anything. She says that was it. She just wanted to speak right there.
Hey guys, I just need 59 more beautiful people to double tap that screen, show some love and support. Let's hit 100 likes. Everybody hit the description, follow my Kick and my Rumble so you can get your name written down on the wall behind me. Show some love and support, guys. We're on the road to 10,000 subs. The past few streams, we gained over 400 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Let's continue to run it over. Let's go. And this is her live stream. We just started over. We're watching it from the beginning. I don't know if she had stopped yet. She probably did because I started about half hour ago. But yeah, this is her stream. She started literally like an hour ago. So we just started it from the beginning because I want to cover it from the beginning. So
Her
SMD.
testimony, and that she gave the appropriate information to the appropriate authorities. So that there, beyond that, is just going to be a dead end. But I'd like to take a broader look at our witness tree because it's growing, right? It's growing, our witness tree. We've got Tiffany Barker, of course. She's with the nieces. Her sister was Phil Lyman's running mate. She spoke to Good Morning America in the wee hours of the morning after. Phil Lyman, of course, our guy, he really does not like me at all. He wants me to know that he thinks I'm shady, that I'm an accomplice to something.
Takora, unfortunately, I'm demonetized because I like to pursue the truth. So if you want, I can pin my Cash App down below. I usually don't do that, but you can go to my Kick or my Rumble and send a super chat in that way because I am fully monetized on both my Kick and my Rumble. So go to the description, go to my Kick or my Rumble, follow me, and you can super chat there. Or I can put my Cash App down in the pinned comment, which I'm going to do right now. For any of you guys who are wondering how you can support your boy while I'm demonetized, you can either Cash App me at the Cash App I put down below, or go to the description and go to my Rumble or my Kick, follow your boy, and you can super chat me there. I love you guys. Keep running it up.
He ran for Utah governor in 2024. He's featured George Zinn on his website at that time, spoke to Alex Jones, Fox News, News Nation.
Yeah, like I said, hit the Rumble link in the description, copy and paste it, and go there, and then you can super chat to me there.
Him. Now we have Olivia Bishop. She works for the Orem Police Records Specialist, and yeah, she works as the Orem Police Records Specialist, and she spoke to local news. Who else do we have here? Well, let me show you this other video, which gets interesting, okay? Check out this USA Today video of people speaking about what they heard and what they saw. Take a listen.
It sounds like lightning. It was so loud. I thought the shooter was right there in the crowd, and apparently he wasn't. Apparently he was far off. Everybody got down, and I instantly just started praying for Charlie Kirk. And the girl I was with next to, she was bawling because.
Or we could do PayPal too. PayPal could work as well. So just let me know what you need to do if you want to support your boy. We'll figure it out.
She had seen it. She had seen the graphic imagery of the bullet piercing his neck and
it's
opening
stupid that
his neck
Canada
up
doesn't let you use Cash App.
I can't imagine what it was like to see that.
I actually was just walking up. I was going to the event with a friend, and so I was in the back of the crowd, still walking to get closer when I heard the pop of a gunshot, and people started screaming and running. So I took a knee, just out of habit from being in the Marine Corps. And people were still screaming and running, and I just decided to look for the shooter wherever they might be. But people just kept clearing out.
Basically, I just heard a shot, and I saw him falling towards the left, so I knew he got shot on the collarbone or the neck right here, but I didn't see bleed immediately. I just saw and I heard, and we all crouched down, and I wish there was a better security. I was a little surprised when I walked into the courtyard and there wasn't any metal detector. There were securities around the building, but it wasn't really solid.
Okay, so to show you who those individuals are, a lot of software engineers, we can pull back up Emmanuel Furier. You saw his name there again. We're pulling people that spoke to the press publicly. We're not revealing any information here, but he works for Domo Incorporated. His history is that he is a software engineer, a technical advisor. His name is German in origin. I'd like to know a little bit more. Also, when I look up these people, by the way, none of them have reached out to me. Like from the minute that this all happened, I asked for information. And for whatever reason, these people were very anxious to speak to the press right after. But then we're like, you know what? We're not gonna speak to anybody else about that. Same for Gurno owner. We covered this. He was with Phil Lyman's nephew, cousin. We learned was a software engineer from Austria.
Bruh. TCJ, you are getting put into the abyss now. I do work a job, fool. Difference between me and you is I work a full-time job and still have the time to build a fucking channel that's going up like a ridiculous amount. So shut up. Thank you for going. Bye-bye.
So Austria, Germany. Okay. Featured in Shaner's Instagram. And that guy, Scott Robbins, that you saw looking like a college kid, well, he was also a gubernatorial candidate. He ran for governor of Utah in 2024. Nobody mentioned this. I guess all of these USA Today or AP, nobody asked them like who they were, if they were college students. And for whatever reason, everybody that they spoke to wasn't that. We will continue to grow this witness tree. Robbie Hild, we've put a TBD on because we're getting crazy information on him. We're calling him Mr. Worldwide over here. Okay, we've got Robbie Hild in the Cayman Islands. We've got Robbie Hild in Spain. We've got Robbie Hild all over. And so that's going to take some time. We need to be more thorough in that. And we will have more on Robbie Hild on Monday. Anyways, guys, this is a good time to take a pause and read some of our sponsors. You guys know I love Riverbend Ranch. Their steaks are phenomenal. They really are just phenomenal. Black Angus beef that they have is literally famous for its great flavor. The Riverbend Ranch has taken Black Angus beef to a whole different level because over the last 35 years, Riverbend Ranch has been creating an elite Angus herd by using ultrasound to select genetically superior cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness. Each year, Riverbend Ranch provides about 850 elite.
We need 25 more likes, you guys. We will be at 100 likes. 25 more beautiful people. Double tap that screen with your fingers and show love and support. Let's get to 100 likes. Much love, you guys.
/Candace. Okay, so it's looking like an operation, right? We are right now living through the JFK assassination. We weren't there for that. The majority of us weren't there for that. I wasn't there for that. But we wondered. We knew we were still being lied to about that assassination. And I just wondered, like AJ did, Allowed yesterday, did all of the homies of JFK just try to cover it up? I think the answer might be yes. I think he was surrounded. I think he was infiltrated. And then they got rid of him because of wrongthink. He had the wrong ideas that perhaps maybe every foreign nation should register under FARA. Anyways, how this works is that then you have to kind of put together
19
like a
more
Warren
beautiful people
Commission,
just
right?
need to
JFK,
double
the
tap that
Warren
screen and
Commission,
we're at 100 likes.
complete and
Anything
utter
above that's a
farce.
blessing. Thank you guys so much.
Pretend like
Oh,
the government's
12
taking
more
it
beautiful
seriously and
people.
investigating.
You guys are just showing love. I shouldn't
Tyler
even have to
Robinson
say
taking out
nothing. It's just
Patsy.
going up.
And
I'm
we want to
sorry.
be
I'll
clear
shut
here.
up.
I'm
Thank
not
you
saying
guys.
that Tyler Robinson is guilty of nothing. Right? It's his gun. There's weird stuff going on there. I don't believe he pulled the trigger. But if they're going to make that stick, then you got to have a lawyer that's working for the prosecution, right? Well, that's what's going on. Recently, Elizabeth Lane went on the Redacted podcast, and she discussed how the prosecutor is picking.
Thank you guys for the 100 likes. Anything above that's a blessing. I think the highest liked amount I've ever got is like almost 400. So I mean, keep running it up. But I'm so blessed. Every time I hit 100, I just feel blessed. So anything else is a blessing. Thank you guys so much. And Lizzie, go to the channel that you want to watch the video on then if you don't want to hear me talk. I'm gonna fucking talk on my channel if I want to. If you have a problem with it, then you get put in timeout and you can go elsewhere. Thank you. Come again.
Being his opponent in the Tyler Robinson case. Take a listen to her explain that.
Investigative journalist Elizabeth Lane is not giving up on this story. She's been on the ground in Utah connecting the CIA dots, the three-letter agency dots and connections, and she joins us now. Elizabeth, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Clayton. I looked at Tyler Robinson's case and I thought, well, why don't I get this guy a lawyer? Because that at least puts me near him so I can understand and control the process. And this is times where they couldn't find the guy a lawyer and they were kind of scrambling around to figure out who was going to be his lawyer. And I started approaching different firms in Utah, trying to get him a lawyer for pro bono. So I walked up to one of the most reputable firms in Utah and I asked them if they were willing to represent Tyler Robinson for pro bono case. And I was extremely surprised what I got from them. First and foremost, they were like, yes, we're absolutely on this because we don't believe that what happened to Charlie Kirk was remotely a case of just a single, crazy kid going up and shooting the guy in the neck. Like, we don't believe that. So we are more than willing to represent him pro bono. So I was like, great. So we started the process. And what happened is we realized that we needed lawyers who are actually certified with death penalty. So their certifications didn't live up to that. But there's another interesting thing. When I did find a lawyer that was certified to represent Tyler Robinson, obviously I needed a consent from Robinson's family or Robinson himself, because he's actually not a minor. He can consent himself. Ironically, we were unable to get in touch with the parents because as a lawyer, you can't solicit clients. So it's illegal. So you can't just announce yourself that I'm going to represent Tyler Robinson. So I started doing that. So I got into this process and I asked my local lawyer firm, hey, what's the best way to go around here? Like, we need help to get the lawyer from New York who is certified to represent Tyler to get on the case. So he said, whatever you do, Elizabeth, do not get in touch with the firms in Utah that are the most powerful because they are in on it with the state. No matter what happens, they will take the side of the state. I did not listen to him. And I ended up calling one of the biggest firms in Utah just to ask for an advice. Like, what is the situation here? What can we do? They started screaming on the phone. And I was like, why do you even care? Like, you don't have a dog in this fight. Why are you so rude on the phone? So then I said, listen, there is a lawyer who's qualified and he's actually very famous in New York, wants to represent this kid. All I need is a consent from Tyler Robinson to do so. And we think that you can help. To this, I got a very rude response that only SCORDIS is allowed to find a representation for Tyler Robinson. So SCORDIS is a guy who's running as a state prosecutor. So here's the problem with that. State prosecutor cannot be responsible to find a lawyer for a defendant. That's illegal.
Right, that they're choosing their own opponent.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
And this is something that I've been wondering about, because it seems like an open and shut case for any defense attorney because the government has presented such a crap case, unless his attorney is a shill.
Yes. So what I know is that SCORDIS is running as a state prosecutor. He's running. Everyone can look it up.
So don't get me wrong. So is this girl saying that she wants to get Tyler a good defense attorney just in case he's a patsy? Is long story short, is that what she's saying? Sorry, I'm trying to eat and then yell at my kids.
On his website. So it's not quite illegal for him to find a lawyer for Tyler, but it would be illegal if he was a state prosecutor. But what it is, though, is highly unethical.
Highly unethical. And the reason why I wanted to show you that clip is because I've learned a lot.
Well, see, it's like we kind of need a girl like that then to at least try to help him get a defense attorney that could help maybe bring out the conspiracy. But we all know that they wouldn't let that happen. So that's crazy.
Over the last couple of years. And what I can tell you is that this gang that's running everything, okay, they also are controlling the courts. That's how you get a prosecution against somebody that makes no sense. And why do you do that? Because typically you're hiding government's crimes, right? You want people to stop looking, you want people to stop asking questions. You're not just asking questions. Yeah, no, we are implying here that everything you're telling us about the Tyler Robinson case makes no sense, but these people control the courts. And I got to tell you another thing. I want to be very clear. They even have figured out how to run a kangaroo court system, total kangaroo court system, where judges do not have to follow the law. Okay. Ian Carroll was on my show speaking about this, pertaining to Justin Bieber. It is a fact. Arbitration courts, so they get you to sign a contract and you agree. If you have an issue, go to arbitration court. Most people don't know what that means. It's a private court where the judge does not have to follow the law. They can just say you're guilty. And when you get to that level, there's usually a couple of reasons why they've got these players that work for the government and are willing to lie and cheat and steal. And it is because the government needs a prosecution, or you've pissed them off and they need a conviction against you because they're trying to bankrupt you. Okay. The corrupt cases, when you get really close to a truth, the government swoops in to try to bankrupt you. I am living proof of that. Never in the history of the world ever has there been a sitting leader of a foreign country that has sued a podcaster or a news member, even a journalist in a foreign country for defamation. Okay. I am the first. It is because we are getting close to a lot of truth when it comes to Brigitte Macron. Okay. And so now what they're doing is they're calling their cronies. Brigitte Macron has hired former federal prosecutors, and she's hiring a firm here. Why? Because the next option is Candace and Shut Up are going to bankrupt her. These are the people that want you to believe they're successful in life organically. No. The entire system is rigged. It's rigged. Okay. If you get too close to them and too powerful, usually suddenly a person gets inclined to commit suicide. We don't know why. And then suddenly there's a hostile takeover of their company, or, a random person shoots them, right? If there's any threat against them, it's either you're smeared, you are bankrupted, or you die in rather mysterious circumstances. So watch this, because you're learning the playbook. Everybody's waking up right now. You need to pay attention to this. This is another one of their mechanisms. They control the courts, and they will get whatever it is they need to get accomplished in the courts, whether it's bankruptcy or a conviction that makes literally no sense, as is going to be the case with Tyler Robinson. They're going to convict him. Right? They found their patsy. They're going to make it work, and they're going to keep threatening the rest of us for noticing that nothing makes sense at all. Anyways, further to that point, I had done, and if you have not watched it, you should jump into the Epstein series that we paused because this happened, where we talked about that, the hand of Midas, making these people executives. We're more successful because we're brighter. No, you're more successful because you're more corrupt. You're willing to lie, cheat, steal, and kill, actually, to get whatever it is that you want. And the Jeffrey Epstein story has all of those elements, right? And our government, I think actually it was the day that Charlie was killed, quietly voted, we're not going to actually release any Epstein files. Wow, how do they maneuver that? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been very loud about how she is against that, and she has grown increasingly vocal, and she feels the need, as she did a couple of days ago, to publicly clarify that she is not suicidal. She wrote, "I am not suicidal, and I'm one of the happiest and healthiest people that you will meet. I have full faith in God, and Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. As a sinner, I am only saved through his grace and mercy. With that said, if something happens to me, I ask you all to find out which foreign government or powerful people would take heinous actions to stop the information from coming out. Not only about this issue, but because of the truth that I have been speaking, the people understand what I am saying. Yes, we are the people, and we understand what you are saying. We understand why speech is considered so dangerous, why the ADL creates a list that features people like Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA and Candace Owens. Why speech is so dangerous is because if it carries truth, it speaks to power. And power is not truth. Power at this moment is a lie. It is a carefully woven lie everywhere, rigged against all of us. That is why I say the action that you can take, right? Don't feel hopeless. Understand they're actually panicking right now. What can you do in your household? Well, the first thing you can do is do not put your children in their matrix. Take your kids out of school. These sleeper cells are all across the nation. Okay. And we're going to get into this next week. I wanted to make sure that I could get more thorough and show to you the
Hey guys, make sure you
brilliant
guys double tap
connections
that screen.
that are
Make sure you guys double tap that screen. Show some of his support. We're at 128 likes. I'm so grateful, man. But keep commenting down below. I want to see the chat going crazy. Say how you guys feel. I love seeing the dialogue and responding to it. So love you guys. Click the kick in the Rumble link in the description. 3 dots above my head. Go follow so you can get your name written on the wall. And I'll shut up.
coming across in this that are very strange, but I guess not so strange when you pay attention to the last shootings, trans shootings that have happened. Uh, the Catholic school shooting, the person was scribbling in their notebook recently. The shooter in Cyrillic. What's that about? What's that about? Why do we suddenly have Russian speakers that are involved in these sorts of things? We are looking at a program, and we're going to speak more about that because you have to understand it is dangerous what is happening right now. It's a dangerous game, and we're playing with dangerous people. And if it ever needed to be said, I am certainly not suicidal. I'm angry. I'm angry at people that are homicidal, is really what's happening. And enough is enough. And if we are not brave enough to speak out, if we are not brave enough to take that action and to begin something as minor as homeschooling our kids, getting out of their system entirely, then our children are going to inherit a world in which the truly evil people have completely wrapped everything, right? They have wrapped everything and they control everything. It's up to us, guys. And I think we're close. So I'm going to leave that at that. Speak about a couple more sponsors before getting into some of your comments and questions that you have. I should have first let you know we did open another tips line because we are at max capacity. I want to remind you guys, if you have tips pertaining to Robbie Hild, anything that we are saying about what took place on Orem on that day. Tips does not include, Candace, have you seen this theory? Watch this TikTok, please, guys. We are trying not to have our inbox cluttered because we want to get to all of these tips. A lot of information. Please email more tips at CandaceOwens.com. More tips at CandaceOwens.com if you have a tip pertaining to what took place on that day. First, want to throw it to 7 Weeks Coffee. You guys know I love them. It's America's pro-life coffee company. The pro-life mission is important because they don't want us to have a lot of children, more of them, less of us. Well, 7 Weeks Coffee is on a mission to fund the pro-life movement 1 cup of coffee at a time, and they just hit an amazing milestone, over $1 million donated to the pro-life movement. Why are they called 7 weeks? Well, that's because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time that a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across all 50 states, providing life-saving ultrasounds, resources for moms in need, and real hope for families. And it all started with one simple idea: use your morning coffee to stand for life. 7 Weeks Coffee is more than a great tasting coffee. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low acid, and it's organically farmed, so it checks all the boxes. You can head to 7weekscoffee.com and you'll save 15% forever when you subscribe. And you'll also get a free gift. Plus, exclusively for my listeners, if you use code Candace at checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off your first order. So that's a total of 25% total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 1,000 pro-life organizations across the U.S. So visit 7weekscoffee.com and use promo code Candace today. Also reminding you guys about American financing, because we all see that the cost of everything is still out of control. Many of us are relying on, which means start saving now. 5 12 10 Owens. All right, you guys. Comment that I want to read from YouTube. Took her 4-year-old out of school yesterday. Literally started homeschooling this morning. This encouragement regarding homeschooling, because that is what I am pushing for. This user wrote, my sister took her 4-year-old out of school yesterday. Literally started homeschooling this morning. I cannot go into detail, but I'll say this. Financially, they will be tight, but she said that it is worth it. Since I saw her conviction, I volunteered myself to be his PE and music teacher as his extracurricular activities. Like they say, it takes a village. Indeed, I love that. I also want you to know, network with moms in the area, because like what you're saying, I can do PE. That's what me and another mom did. I was like, let's just figure this out. We know something is wrong. Something dangerous is coming. We can all feel it spiritually. And I'm telling you, these sleeper cells exist in public schools, private schools. They are there. There is a lot of evil that is happening right now. And I hope that if you guys are watching the show, you understand that I am telling you this. And I would not tell you this if it was not, I felt it spiritually. And then this happened, and I'm looking into things. It's not making sense. None of it makes sense. We're told left versus right, but it is not that. It is all of us versus them. And they're upset that we're united, by the way. I saw this when they were attacking Megyn Kelly. I think I showed you yesterday. She said, well, my battle is against the left. And then they showed her a clip of me saying that it's not left or right anymore and said, well, look, Megyn, now you should attack Candace because she's allied with the left. Yep, I am allied with the left and the right. Any person that is awake and realizes that that is slave slop, okay? We're never going to be able to shake the true power structure if we keep shouting at one another and not realizing that groups control extremists on both sides. They are fostering, I think, the extremists on both sides intentionally. We'll get into more of that next week. I said I was going to read your comments, and so I should probably do that. Cajun Pigne writes, we normal, everyday people, thank you and your team for all the hard work trying to make sense of Charlie's fateful event. I believe in the Almighty that all will come to light in Jesus' name. Amen. I believe so too. I don't think they can hide it. I think we're keeping our feet to the fire. We are absorbed.
For like 10 days, and Trump is already threatening war on a new continent. Epstein's handler had a little security breach, and now more than 100,000 of his emails are online uncensored. And last week, tragedy struck in Minnesota as a church shooting forces us all to learn about online satanic murder cults. We've got a lot to talk about today, so pop down to the like and subscribe buttons while we roll the intro.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous. Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
It's so sick we can't talk about it.
So, last Wednesday,
Now can you hear me? All right. So like I was saying, my bad, you guys. My microphone accidentally unplugged. So what I was saying that we're gonna stop the whole listening to Candace going over her comments. I feel like that gets a little boring. That was her live stream today, so I was glad to cover that. Now we're gonna move on to the Ian Carroll video where he said, let's see what the total is, or everything we know about last week's tragedy. I love Ian Carroll. I love the way he deep dives into everything. He does very good informative research and informative videos. So I love going into Ian Carroll's content and listening to stuff so we can get a second view of everything. And not only that, but we can get an informative view. And not only that, I said thank you guys so much for we gained over 100 subscribers already. When I said we were at 6.52K. So now we're at 6,672 subs. So thank you to everybody who subscribed. We are so close to 7,000 subs, everybody. So everybody hit that subscribe button, show some love and support. Thank you guys so much for being here. Double tap that screen and let's try and get to as many likes as we can. We're at 144. That means we need 66 more likes to get to 200. But we're going to go ahead and hop into this Ian Carroll video where he's going to do a deep dive on everything. And as you guys will see, he does very good. So everybody go subscribe to Ian Carroll. He does awesome when it comes to doing deep dives, giving information, being informative, and checking his facts. So this should not disappoint. But thank you everybody who's in here showing love and support. I love every single one of you. We keep running it up every single live stream. We're going to be at 10,000 subscribers definitely before the end of the month. I see, if I'm consistent, we're on here every day. I see us getting to 10,000 subs by the middle of the month. So my birthday is on October 8th. Let's try and hit 10K subs by then. That would be awesome. I love you guys. 52 more likes and we'll be at 100 or 200. Thank you guys for being in here and showing so much love. The feeling of gratitude is the best feeling. You guys always make me feel so grateful. So let's continue this and let's run it up. And yeah, much love, you guys. Let's see what Ian Carroll has to say. And again, I love his videos. Everybody go subscribe to Ian Carroll.
This terrible shooting happened at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis. It's all over the news. I'm sure you've heard about it. And there's always a ton of misinformation, bad reporting, people jumping to conclusions, and conspiracy theories flying around directly in the wake of something like this. So now that the dust has settled a little bit, we have a bit of clarity on what actually happened. I'm going to compile everything that we know and can confirm at this point about the shooting and the shooter. And then we'll look at the key questions that we're left with and speculate a little bit about the tinfoil of what else might be going on. So on Wednesday morning at about 8:30 a.m., Robert Westman, who was trans and legally changed his name to Robin Westman, showed up outside the Annunciation Catholic Church with a small arsenal of firearms. He killed 2 children, one 8 years old and the other 10 years old, and injured 18 other people, including 15 children. Then, after about 2 minutes of shooting, he shot himself and was declared dead on the scene. Apparently, the church had a long-standing practice of locking the doors once mass had started, and Westman, not knowing that in his planning, was unable to get inside. This likely saved many lives because this was a well-planned and premeditated attack. Westman had actually drawn out maps of the inside of the church with seating arrangements, exits, and all the rest. So, had he been able to get inside, the tragedy would have been exponentially more horrible. Mainstream reporting about who the shooter was is problematic for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we are affirming his gender even in death, despite the fact that Westman himself wrote in his journals that he regretted transitioning, didn't want to be trans anymore, and wished he could cut his hair off. Most importantly, this is clearly a male pattern psychotic behavior. You ever notice that just about all the trans shooters are men that transitioned to being women, not the other way around? Obviously generalizing, but that is because men tend to use physical violence where women would more likely use political or social leverage or manipulation to achieve a goal. Using female pronouns for a clearly male shooter doing a distinctly male crime is just confusing and it's not helping. But the more subversive and less obvious slant in the mainstream reporting of the incident is about hate. Fox News reports on the hateful messages scrawled all over Westman's guns, posted in a now deleted YouTube video, which I will show you how to find in a moment. Yes, Westman's journals and guns were covered in phrases that would be classified.
Welcome in, Shannon. Welcome in, Nicole. Welcome in, everybody who's new to the channel. Hit the subscribe button, double tap that screen. Make sure you guys go hit those 3 dots right above my head. Go to the description. And if you have Rumble or Kick, go follow me on one or the other or both so you can get your name written down both times. If you follow both of them, you'll get written down twice. If you follow one of them, you'll get written down once. So go support your boy. I love you guys. I'll shut up.
Classified as hateful. And I'm sure that hate isn't the worst word in the English language to describe a part of the inner workings of this sick and twisted man. But it really doesn't get at the heart of the issue here. And it doesn't get at what I suspect caused this to go from a lost, depressed kid to a violent mass shooter. YouTube deleted Westman's account pretty quickly, but not before the internet managed to archive everything on it. He posted a 10-minute video showing his weapons and another longer video flipping page by page through his journal, which people are calling a manifesto. But really, there's no unifying ideology. There's no political creed. There's no revolution. It's just a lost kid who has severed every connection he once had to reality. And it seems clear to me, from having watched the videos and reading the text of his journal, that a more apt emotional description of Westman is emptiness. He seemed lost and entirely indifferent. Hate is an emotion that comes from caring deeply about something. And Westman gives the distinct impression that what is so wrong in his life is his lack of caring about anything, his lack of meaning and belonging and purpose. I mean, first and foremost, his goodbye letter to his family, which he appears to have laminated with clear tape or something like that to make it more durable and ensure its longevity, it is filled with apparent love and care for his family. It's very, very backwards. And if taken at face value, it depicts a person filled with remorse and regret and understanding of how horrible this is about to be for all of his friends and loved ones. He literally wrote, quote, I have such an amazing family, and it hurts me to throw this wrench into the works of you good people. I feel hope when with you. I cherish our time together. I appreciate all that you have taught me, and I felt inspired to be like you when I grew up. I hope you are able to move on and continue your lives without being forever followed, forever haunted by my actions. Forget me and all that I am. Hold on to yourselves and your loved ones. I love you all. Which is so fucking backwards. We're not even going to get into that. But you can hate this dude all you want. You are perfectly justified in thinking that he is a sick, evil, deranged person who deserves no compassion or understanding for what he did. And I pretty much agree. But this letter is not filled with hate. It is filled with love and a deep aching and longing and regret. It's filled with what I would almost describe as a deeply 21st century type of pain. And I think if we break it down a little bit, it's actually a pain that we can all relate to, at least in some way. And in doing so, hopefully we can understand what caused this a little bit better and have a.
By the way, guys, I hope you guys support your boy, man, because I might be fired from my job simply off of the fact that I say the truth about certain things and it goes against things. So it is what it is, though, man. Everybody that's in the chat that's new to the channel, God bless you guys. Welcome in, Sid. Welcome back, family. Make sure you guys double tap that screen, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully, I get remonetized in October. And this can completely be my job. People can support your boy through there. I don't, obviously, I'm going to always work a job until I end up making 5 to 10K a month. I was close till I got demonetized, but it is what it is. Much love to you guys. Thank you for being in here. Double tap that screen. Join the family on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We've already gained 100 subscribers this stream, so let's continue running it up. Let's try and hit 7K.
More productive conversation about what to do about it. Because we are a species that evolved or were created to live in small, largely homogenous tribes where we had constant, very close contact with our family members and extended community. We are meant to live in nature, in the sunshine and the wind and the wild. We're meant to eat animals and plants, not genetically modified frankenfood filled with poison. We're meant to be bound to one another by deep tribal, spiritual, or religious beliefs and share deep familial bonds with our village or small community. And that's not just some idea of how history was in the past. That human nature is encoded deeply into our biology, specifically into our hormonal systems, our endocrine system. Our endocrine system is what creates our hormones. Hormones are defined as chemicals that flow through our blood to large areas or usually our entire body, thus affecting a wide range of functions instead of being localized to a single synapse between two neurons like a neurotransmitter.
Thank you, Rab. Appreciate you.
Hormones are what determine our entire emotional
Yeah,
reaction.
the crazy thing is you can't say anything that's real. Like I put my kids through private Catholic school and it's whatever, but kids are coming up to me talking about, the firmament. I talk about the firmament. That's gonna get me fired. Why? Well, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like it's just wild.
They determine our sense of well-being, our happiness, our feelings of belonging. Conversely, they are what make us feel lost or alone or unhappy, angry, depressed, betrayed.
But it's cool
Obviously,
because I
the
know
natural
I'm just used to
processes
being
of the
treated like
mind
this. So.
processing reality plays into our emotions in complex ways, but it is the release of hormones in response to our conscious experience that manifest the.
But even today, with my job situation, I never sat here and even posted my Cash App. It's still not posted. Someone asked a second ago how they can donate. Still didn't post it. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. But uh, I don't know, man. It just sucks how the United States is becoming. That's for sure. But yeah, Ian Carroll does so good. We need 41 more likes, man. We'll be at 100 or 200. Thank you guys so much. I don't know. Your boy just feels worthless sometimes because I put in so much work for everything. The reason why I love coming on my channel though is because you guys appreciate me for my hard work and my dedication. Same can't be said for regular shit, right?
actual feelings that we live by. So when you have a whole generation of kids being born into a world that is deeply out of touch with how humans were
I'm
meant
putting
to
a
live,
steak on the
when the
stove real quick.
food
I'll
and
be
the
right back.
clothes and the plastics and just about everything you touch or consume contains chemicals that disrupt your endocrine system or poison you in other ways, babies and toddlers are already living in a hormonally unbalanced reality
And
right from
Sid,
the
if you want
start.
to help me, I can
Then
post my
they go to
Cash App,
school
but I
and
don't do
enter
that.
into
I
the
don't
world
ask
where
for
they
money.
experience
So
more
if you want to help
disconnection,
me, I
more
can guide you to
isolation.
where you want to
Kids
help.
come from broken homes or abusive parents or narcissistic family members or
And again, I said I don't ask for money, but if you want to help me with money, I'll guide you to where you can help. Period.
any other string of traumatic events that further scars their souls. Then you often go to a therapist or psychologist and are prescribed this pharmaceutical or that pharmaceutical to correct the imbalances that are building up, often with a potentially catastrophic list of potential side effects. So you go on SSRIs or amphetamine or whatever it is, further masking the root of the problem while introducing new chemical side effects and dependencies and interactions. And then you introduce trans ideology, a cult, or almost a religion, really, specifically designed to validate any feeling, no matter how abnormal or disordered, and to soothe the discontent that is supposed to be a sign that something needs to change. Instead, you're told that you're just fine how you are, and the world needs to change for you. Your body needs to change, your pronouns need to change, anything except examining what was wrong in the first place and figuring out how to be happy with yourself the way you are. Most liberals actually don't realize how extreme trans ideology is. They see Republicans speaking out about trans anything and they label it as hateful and tune out. But myself, being a person that was raised on the left, in a leftist town, in a leftist culture, I know for a fact that most liberals and Democrats, especially those over the age of 40, have no idea of the extremism that is rolled up into trans ideology at large. Part of the accepted mainstream trans movement involves normalizing pedophilia, renaming it as minor attracted persons or MAPS, and it is no longer a disorder or a crime, but instead it's a sexual orientation to them. And if you hate pedophiles, you're a bigot. That is legitimately something that the trans community advocates for, and those who don't openly advocate for it tend to strategically ignore the cancer that this represents in their own camp. Just the fundamental concept that a child chopping off their genitals in order to affirm the ideology that they may have adopted like 1 month ago because of what people online said is completely absurd. You aren't old enough to vote or drink or smoke or drive or basically make any important long-term decision for yourself. You cannot get a tattoo, but you can chop off an entire body part. But we wouldn't let a child chop off like one of their fingers, right? That would be unacceptable. That'd be super weird. That would be cause for intervention. But you can chop off your dick or tits. That's it. Those are the only acceptable ones, right? A lot of people on the left also don't realize how extreme and militant trans ideology has become. Andy No put together a great article about this shooting and the effective mainstream endorsement of militant trans ideology as a key factor in causing tragedies like this. So this is from nocomment.com, ngocomment.com. Great article that summarizes the shooting, goes over the transition, some documents, some sources, and then highlights in March 2023, Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, a Democrat, wore a shirt depicting a knife with the threat, "Protect trans kids." She wore it during a press conference celebrating Governor Tim Walz's executive order declaring Minnesota a trans refuge state. The shirt has become popular among radical trans activists, many of whom pose with weapons while wearing it, like this guy or girl or whoever that is. Goes into some other stuff. And this piece I want to highlight. The liberal media is complicit as well. Across the country, sympathetic outlets have run puff pieces legitimizing paranoia among trans radicals who claim they must form anarchist or communist militias and arm themselves to bash back against the US government under President Trump. The violent imagery is widespread. Another common shirt they wear reads "trans rights or else," accompanied by graphics of firearms. We got, and we got each other. Death before detransition, as they all pose with guns in front of a trans flag. Trans Day of Vengeance. Stop trans genocide. Trans Day of Vengeance, right? Just say when. And it goes on and on and on. But Even all that doesn't get to the heart of what's going on here. There are a ton of trans people that don't commit mass shootings. Just being trans doesn't cause someone to go to a church and kill kids. That is something completely different. And I suspect that that's something else.
All right, guys. So I just put in the chat. If you want to support your boy, click the Streamlabs link below, and you can go ahead and tip me whatever you want. 100% of what you decide to tip goes to me. Since I'm demonetized and everything like that, you can click the Streamlabs link and hit whatever you want to do. The lowest is $1. I wish you could do lower if only if you could afford 25 cents. It doesn't matter. I really don't care about the money. But for people who are wondering how they can support me, hit that link and send over whatever you feel like, and I'll put your name on the wall behind me with Sharpie, like we talked about. But there's the link
Is
if you
actually
want to
two
support me.
things.
There it is.
It's a dark web of online communities that groom vulnerable people to become sadistic, psychopathic killers and pedophiles. And it's drugs. And it is the combination of
Shout out to Carter Valaire. Shout out to you. Hi, how are you doing? My headphones is not working today. Can you reply to me on chat? I appreciate it. No, I cannot reply. Just unplug the headphones and you'll hear me reply to you. Thank you for being here, Carter from Kick. Like I said, go follow my Kick and my Rumble. It's in the description. Go follow my Rumble and my Kick so you can get your name written down on the wall twice, or go follow one or the other, whichever one you can. You'll get your name written down once. Or if you click the Streamlabs link that's pinned down below and you donate, your name will be written down for show. The higher you donate, the bigger the name. So you can get your name written down huge on my wall in Sharpie, depending on how much you donate. So
those two factors, with the already significant trauma that led to Robert wanting to transition to become Robin, and the wild hormonal imbalances that come with transitioning, that all came together to cause this tragedy. So first, the drugs. I noticed this comment in an X thread about the attack from Razzie Ann Berry, where she mentions that the video where Westman shows off his guns shows clear signs of akathisia. Now, if you're like me,
36 more likes,
have to look
36 more
akathisia
double taps will be at 200 likes. Thank you guys so much.
Akathisia is a movement disorder characterized by a subjective feeling of inner restlessness accompanied by mental distress and or an inability to sit still. Usually the legs are most prominently affected. Those affected may fidget, rock back and forth, or pace, while some may just have an uneasy feeling in their bodies. It is commonly caused as a side effect of antipsychotic medication and SSRIs. Now, I'm not going to show any clips from the YouTube video where he displays his weapons because that video was removed by YouTube, and I assume that clips from it will probably trigger YouTube censorship algorithms. I'm also not a doctor, and I have no position to diagnose anybody. But when you watch it, you can clearly see this inability to be still, this fidgeting and pacing. And beyond that, between the videos and the journals, you get a pretty clear sense that this person is deeply detached from reality and from consequences and from basically all meaning in general. I mean, just the basic act of killing innocent children is completely disconnected from any goal here. There is no part of the journals or manifesto, as far as I've seen, where he says why killing children will do anything to make the world a better or more right or fix some wrong that he experienced in his life. There's no motive other than to kill. And we will get to the satanic online grooming that likely happened in this instance in a minute. But a big part of this story should be SSRIs, as it always should be with every mass shooting. And yet, strangely, it never is. Are these mass shooters on SSRIs? We don't know, because that is privileged medical information, and mainstream news is almost entirely funded by the pharmaceutical industry these days. And so even if they could, they would never report on that. But I think there is a growing realization in America that SSRIs and mass shootings are linked, and we desperately need a comprehensive study that has access to the medical records of all of these shooters and can give us definitive data about the correlation between SSRIs and other medications and these types of horrible crimes. Little tangent here, but I have a friend who's in his 40s now. I'm pretty sure he's in his 40s. But when he was younger, he was an upstanding kid, had never committed a crime in his life, never gotten in trouble, but he hit a small patch of youthful depression and was prescribed SSRIs back in the early days of these drugs. The way that he tells the story They sort of severed his connection to reality. All thought about consequence was gone, or rather, all fear of consequence was gone. Everything was just information, and he was overcome by a deep curiosity to play God, so to speak. So he got a knife and went to a local convenience store and robbed the place just to see if he could, just to feel something. Again, a kid who had never committed a crime in his life. He talks about how on the drugs, he was able to act any way that he wanted. He felt invincible, and at the same time, as if like nothing mattered. Nothing had any moral value as right or wrong. It was just things that happened. And since his first robbery went so well, he went and robbed another, and then another. And this kicked off a spree of robberies. I think it was like a few dozen by the end. He never wanted to or did hurt anybody. He knew that just drawing the knife would sort of force the situation into a predictable path where he would walk away with whatever money was in the register. I forget exactly how the
Good
story escalated,
evening,
but it ended up with
Shannon.
like a
Welcome
massive
back.
police
Much
chase.
love
There
to
were
everybody who's in here.
helicopters
Double
and
tap
like
that
20
screen. We just
troopers or
need
something. And they
37
eventually
more
ran
likes
him
to get
down
200
over like
likes.
an hour or longer police
Thank you guys for
chase.
showing so
And
much
the whole
love and
time, he
support.
just
If you
feels
see me
nothing.
get up and away from my mic, it's because I'm cooking a steak and I'm hungry. So I love you guys so much. But let's continue to run up the likes. Let's continue to run up the subscribers so we can get to 7,000 subs, run over to 10,000 subs. But we continuously go up 100 subs or so every single stream. So let's continue to run it up.
He's not scared. He's not worried about consequences. He's not angry that he messed up. He's not even really happy or excited. He's just driving one of the biggest police chases in the state that decade for like no real reason. And he's got this thick New York accent. And when he tells the story, it's honestly hilarious in hindsight. It's totally fucked up when you put yourself in his or his parents' shoes at the time. But in hindsight, it's pretty funny. And I'm glad that he can laugh about it now years later. But anyways, he's eventually sent to prison for a bunch of years. And as soon as he gets locked up and comes off the drugs, everything that's happened hits him. And it's entirely obvious to him that it was the drugs. He has since done a whole bunch of research about it. And I hope that he tells the story in more depth in a book or something someday. It's just an anecdote, but it's instructive. And it's a good heuristic to work with here because you can tell when you're speaking to someone who has this kind of glazed look in their eyes, the fake happiness that comes from these drugs. They certainly seem to work for plenty of people when no other medication does. But often, it also seems to be a sort of surface happiness painted over top of a vast emptiness. And when you start to notice it, it can be pretty unsettling to be around. Sure, like now all the pain or depression or trauma in your past that had been making you depressed doesn't seem to matter as much. You are detached from that hardship, but you're also detached from everything else. And this creates fertile ground for the second factor in this story. Online grooming in the darkest way possible. And this is what leads to the tinfoil, the MK Ultra conspiracy theories flying around, Manchurian candidates, and the technocratic agenda. We will get to that after we lay out this piece. Based upon some of the things that were scrawled onto the guns, it is clear that Westman had found his way into what is called the community, or the COM. Here is the official FBI PSA about the COM. It is a primarily English-speaking international online ecosystem comprised of multiple interconnected networks whose members, many of whom are minors, engage in a variety of criminal violations. Apparently, this first emerged as what is called HackerCom, as in a massive, loose community of online hackers doing cybercrime in all sorts of loosely affiliated groups. But that escalated to IRL, like in real life violence between people in the group and outside of the group. And now it has spawned the darkest and most dangerous corner of all, ExtortionCom. ExtortionCom primarily involves the exploitation of children. Members extort minors, typically females, through threats of doxing, swatting, and in real life violence if members' demands are not met. This public service announcement, however, does not even begin to do justice to what this thing is. And I can't even really show sources on a bunch of what comes next because it is A, disgusting, and B, I'm legitimately worried that if I show any images or text on screen from these groups, it will get this video flagged or removed. But essentially, this is a network of online actors that target usually young girls, children online. Girls are easy to exploit because of the many aspects of their typical nature. You first form a close online relationship with the victim by befriending them, giving them attention, connecting about what they're into. Usually a target victim will already be ostracized from people in real life and be seeking connection in the first place. And then once a connection is established, you ask them to be your girlfriend. The entire purpose of the interaction is to eventually leverage it to get them to send nudes and for you to learn personal information like address, phone number, family members, etc. Then, once the perpetrator has nudes and personal information, they are able to begin exploitation. This is usually things like send me more nudes, or I will send your nudes to everyone in your school or to your parents or whatever. Often it involves forced self-harm, like cut yourself on video and send me the video. The exploitation and blackmail usually escalates, with the goal generally being to achieve total control over the victim, who is increasingly more and more afraid that the perpetrator will destroy their life if they don't comply by sharing this growing body of compromising content with their families or friends. And ultimately, for some of the perpetrators, the goal is to convince the victim to commit suicide. And it works more often than you might realize. It is super dark and fucked up and hard to even talk about. By my understanding, some of the perpetrators might be getting monetary gain out of their victims, but I think that in most instances, it is literally just a sick game of power and extortion and sadism. And I'm sure there's all sorts of spin-offs and splinters among these groups doing all sorts of fucked up things, but that's the basic idea. And they're just targeting any old kid online. This is happening on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. Many of the groups doing this blend with Satanism and other occult belief systems. Many of them target
Whoever is saying Carroll deserves to be in a mental asylum, you might want to look in the mirror because that might be you. First of all, 34 more likes will be at 200 likes. Thank you guys so much. Just 34 more beautiful people. So you double tap that screen, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Also, go in the description, the 3 dots above my head. Go follow my Kick and my Rumble so you can get your name written down on the wall behind me. But for real, Ian Carroll is one of the most well thought out, well rounded journalists that's out right now. I mean, he does his research. So, I mean, I'll get, you guys who want to call him unhinged or call him a liar. I mean, everything he's stating is a fact. Our government admits it. So, if he's crazy because our government admits it, how crazy is our government, or how crazy are you people who don't believe it?
and involve trans people. If you want to know more about this super fucked up rabbit hole, this is the Twitter account to follow. Sundress Lady has been blowing the whistle on this for a while now and will teach you way more than you ever wanted to know about all of it. So, anyways, we go into that super fucked up side quest because it would seem that based upon some of the things written on the guns and some of the accounts that Westman interacted with and followed online, that he was adjacent to some of these groups. I haven't seen any evidence that he was the target of extortion or anything like that, but there are definitely signs that there may be something else going on here. And this is the part where it gets really complicated and spooky, and it's time to get out the tinfoil. The normie right-wing commentators are all screeching that this is because of trans ideology and trans grooming, that trans people are all killers, and it's time to finally put an end to everything trans once and for all. And there's certainly a conversation there, but it's not really the one I think is most relevant or productive here. I absolutely agree that the explosion in the number of trans identifying people is not a natural trend and is deeply problematic, indicative of social contagion. This graph, in case it's too small to see, shows the percentage of US adults identifying as transgender by birth year, and it's sourced from CDC data. And this is exactly what my generation saw with eating disorders in mostly young girls. A social contagion. We are supposed to believe that Megan Fox has 3 trans children. In 2025, it's estimated that 1% of the population is trans, which is already a huge increase over just a few years ago. But that means that if this was something naturally occurring in these people and not socially conditioned, the chances of having 3 trans children would be 1% times 1% times 1%, which, if you're not familiar with multiplying percentages, that equals 1/10,000th of a percent chance of having 3 trans kids naturally. But when you have celebrities all promoting something and the media all promoting something and the schools all promoting it and an entire cultural blackmail campaign to label anyone that speaks out as a racist, transphobe bigot, and in a lot of states, they'll threaten to take
Everybody in here who
people's kids
hasn't
away and
already,
call it
double tap
child
that
abuse.
screen. Double tap that screen right above my head. Hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're very close to 7K. So just double tap that screen, get the likes up, and hit the subscribe button with the notification bell above my head. Go to the description and follow my Kick and my Rumble. I love you guys.
If you don't go along with the program, you wind up in a really uncomfortable place. trans people are still people and they still deserve love and respect, just like everyone else. I would love to live in a world where they could just chill out and go about their business like the rest of us, and it wouldn't have to be some big thing. But honestly, it's largely trans people that make it a big thing by pushing their ideology on everyone else, by acting out and honestly just trying to promote the idea of being trans to other people's kids. Like, one thing that I never hear trans people address is this logical fallacy in their whole brand strategy. I think we can all agree that being trans is super hard. It's a hard life. I mean, that's the whole point of being trans, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but from a trans perspective, you're in the wrong body and it's super fucking depressing. And trans suicide rates are so high that it's literally preferable to chop off your dick and pump yourself full of dangerous hormones than to go on living in your natural body, right? Like, that's gotta suck. I'm being kind of crass, but that's kind of the idea, right? And let's just take that perspective as truth for a second. Let's walk a moment in trans people's shoes. Think about how lost and alone and horrible you would have to feel to decide that amputating your sex organs is a better option than going on living like you are. And so, if that's the case, then why would a trans person ever promote the idea of being trans to someone else? Why the fuck would you ever wish that fate on another person? Like, from trans people's own perspective, one of the central claims of the trans identity is that being trans is a really fucking hard life. That's like being born with Crohn's disease and having constant pain and digestive issues and possibly needing drugs and surgery down the line just to live a somewhat normal life. And then waking up one day and being like, you know what? Everyone should experience this kind of suffering. I wish that a bunch of normal kids could know what it's like to live this super hard, painful life that I live. Like, what the fuck is that, guys? The very idea that trans people have one of the strongest marketing departments and have a militant political coalition promoting them is fundamentally disgusting and also super suspicious, right? Like, do I believe that there are genuine trans adults out there and that they should be able to do what they want with their bodies? Like, yeah, honestly, you do you. It's 2025, whatever. You're an adult. Like, honestly, if you're not hurting other people and just want to live as normal of a life as you can, I want whatever makes you happiest and feel most fulfilled. As long as you're not expecting other people to pretend that science isn't real or that it's okay to teach kids how to give fellatio in grade school, like, whatever. But do I also think that there is a coordinated, nefarious political faction operating in the shadows to fund and push this movement in order to divide and destroy American culture? Yeah, absolutely. And that might be as banal as Russian or Chinese or Iranian groups backing a movement that obviously weakens the American empire, which is their enemy. Or it might be our own global deep state of satanic pedophiles wanting to destroy the fabric of strong and healthy culture and pit us all against one another. I don't know. But I know it's not organic. And we haven't even started talking about all the endocrine disruptors in our food and chemicals in our clothes and daily lives, the PFAS in our water, the poison in your menstrual products. I could make an entire series on all the fucked up chemicals that are messing with kids' hormones. And the amount of money riding on the conversation, not noticing the correlation between chemicals and the number of gender confused kids in this country is in the billions. It's insane. And so, to this point, it's worth noting that Robin Westman regretted being trans. In his journal, he wrote, quote, "I am sick of my hair. I want to chop it off. I only keep it because it is pretty much my last charade of being trans. I'm tired of being trans. I wish I never brainwashed myself. I can't cut my hair off now because it would be an embarrassing defeat and it might be a concerning change of character that could get me reported." The number of kids that have been lied to and misled and brainwashed into thinking that mutilating their body or making irreversible changes to their endocrine system will solve their teenage angst or make them feel less lonely is a tragedy. And over the next decade or two, we are going to have a lot of young men and women waking up from this spell that they are under and coming to very hard terms with the choices that they made, often when they were still children, that had no sense of the gravity of that choice. And they had no adults around them that protected them from this. That's going to be such a tragedy. And my heart goes out to those poor kids. And not if they do shit like this, but I'm worried that some of them might. Because this is how lost that must make you feel. This is at least how lost it made Robert, whoever, feel. But all of this is not the point that I want to talk about right now. Right now, I want to talk about tinfoil and Robert Westman's journal. Most of the journal that Westman showed in the video published on YouTube was written in a sort of half-baked code, kind of. He was using the Cyrillic alphabet, but writing with English spelling and grammar. So just writing in English, but swapping the characters of the alphabet out for Cyrillic, which is Russian. So the internet has been hard at work translating all of the pages, and it reads like the diary of an MK Ultra subject. Like there's no way around it. It reads like MK Ultra. And here's just one quote. I don't know why, but sometimes I feel like I am being controlled by this computer. I feel like this device is making me write my thoughts. This notebook is just a way to organize my thoughts, my will, and my soul. I sometimes think that I am being tested. And if some higher mind is watching me, checking how I will behave in different situations, and if I pass the test, then maybe I will be freed. Further down, it says, I try to act correct, but what does correctly even mean? Who sets the rules of the game? Sometimes it seems to me that I don't exist at all, as if I am just a character in someone else's game or program. Like my whole life is just an illusion and everything around me is fake. I try to touch objects, to talk to people, but inside I feel emptiness. It's as if the world is just a decoration and I am just an actor playing a role written for me. And I feel so lonely. I feel like I'm going insane. One of the most revealing pages is this drawing of him looking in the mirror and seeing a demon reflected back in himself. Scrawled across the page in Cyrillic, it says, Who? When will this end? Help me. I don't want to. Help. Kill yourself. Kill yourself. So, the themes are all over this case. Satanic imagery, occult symbolism, an online presence in extremely niche corners of online subculture, and directly adjacent to other accounts that are clearly affiliated with 764 and these other pedophilic and grooming cults. Idolization of other mass killers, a progressively paranoid and fatalist ideology that is not really political in nature at all, even. He had written things like kill Trump and 6 million was not enough on his guns. But when you actually look at all of the writing together, all of the symbols and the phrases on the guns and in the journals, paired with the act of killing Catholic children at his old school, there's no left or right wing ideology here. There's no real substance that you could actually call a manifesto. It's just chaos. It's just a deeply confused and paranoid adolescent mind twisted up into so many knots of spiritual disconnectedness that it really does feel like a lost boy who is groomed by culture from loneliness to transgenderness to deeper and deeper isolation, who found some truly dark places on the internet to search for the missing belonging that he craved. And I think it is very likely that he wound up being groomed into deeper and deeper madness and ultimately to the point of committing this final act of evil. And I think it's quite likely that that grooming was done to him by members of these online cults. Although so far, to be clear, we have not seen any conclusive evidence that that was the case. That is just my theory. And this is where we finally get to the part of the story that matters most to all the rest of us going forwards. Aaron Cohen, an ex-Israeli Special Forces agent, is now rolling out the next phase of digital mass surveillance. Pre-crime is officially here, and the fight for freedom finally enters its final phase.
Correct. I am now about to launch Gideon, America's first ever AI threat detection platform built specifically for law enforcement. It scrapes the internet 24/7 using an Israeli-grade ontology to pull specific threat language and then routes it to local law enforcement. It's a 24/7 detective. It never sleeps, and it's going to get us in front of these attacks.
Would it have picked up on this, do you think?
100%. I wish my program would already be up. We're not launching until next week. I've got a dozen agencies on board, Trace. I just unloaded a major Northeast agency with over 2,700 sworn. This is America's early warning system.
This is America's early warning system. Pre-crime. The idea that you could surveil everyone all the time to the point of being able to predict crime and stop it before it happens. It's the ultimate dystopian future, and it has been the goal of the technocrats for a long time now. Because imagine a world where horrible crimes like this don't happen. Imagine how great it would be. Just ignore the fact that now you can be convicted of a crime for posting the wrong tweet or liking the wrong comment or logging into the wrong message board. If this is allowed to happen, political dissidents could be targeted at will and locked up for crimes that they haven't even committed. There is a whole genre of dystopian literature dedicated to this very concept, the concept of the thought crime. To an American, there's just about nothing more repugnant than the idea of policing thought. But to an Israeli, well, it's pretty much just par for the course. Don't look at what medications the shooter was on. Nobody talk about SSRIs. Don't look at the violent cultural undercurrents in the trans movement at large, you fucking bigot. Don't examine what in our society has so many young people feeling lost and depressed and hateful. Don't solve any of the underlying issue. Nah, fuck it. Let's just ignore all that and forge straight ahead into totalitarian thought dictatorship where Israeli tech companies constantly watch your every move and have the authority to raid your house and lock you up if they think that you might do something that they don't like at some point in the future. That sounds like a really great way to handle the situation. And for a long time, a lot of people have been speaking up about this. Every one of these mass shootings helps the technocrats push their agenda more and more and more. And at a certain point, I've got to wonder, who is 764? Like, who is behind these online satanic grooming gangs? Is it all entirely organic? Is it really just random sickos and perverts that love the devil and want to sow chaos in the world? Or is it possible that there are state actors involved? Is it possible that there are intelligence agencies embedded in them and actively trying to tip the scales towards the chaos that will help usher in their technocratic agenda? I don't have any evidence one way or the other, and frankly, I don't have the spiritual fortitude to do the deep dive into this story that I would need in order to look for evidence. So I'm just going to stay out here and trust my gut. And my gut is telling me that nothing about this story is natural. And now, on to all the other stories of the past week or two while I've been out in the woods. Overshadowed by all the sensationalist news in the cycle last week, tensions between the US and Venezuela have been peaking for a couple of weeks now, and last week, Trump deployed an entire fleet of battleships and a nuclear submarine to the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela as a direct threat to Nicolas Maduro and his regime. And if you don't know how scary nuclear submarines are, there's a Johnny Harris video all about them that you should definitely watch if you want to know what the end of the world looks like. In response, Maduro declared that he was calling on the entire nation of Venezuela to mobilize and arm themselves to fight the Americans should they try anything. He cited this insane figure that they were going to mobilize 4.5 million militia members to fight America. Now listen, Venezuela's total population is only about 30 million people. So Maduro is claiming that he's arming and mobilizing like 15% of his total population, including women, children, elderly, etc., which is obviously just a made-up number, not based in reality. But it sends the message. He ain't fucking playing around. Now, this whole story is extremely complicated, and there's a ton of backstory that you need to understand in order to appreciate the nuances of the American propaganda and the historical context around Venezuela and all that. And I'm working on a whole deep dive on the situation that I'm hoping to have out sometime this week. But suffice to say that despite what the Trump administration says, this is not about drugs. The Pentagon does not actually care about the relatively small amount of cocaine that is trafficked through Venezuela towards the US. They don't even really care about the violent gangs and migrants that Venezuela has unleashed into our country over the last 6 years or so. They care about oil. And Venezuela is sitting on the largest untapped oil reserves in the world, and Chevron misses the good old days when they had unrestricted access to it. Venezuelan people be damned. So, Maduro is certainly a shitty dude, and he might be involved in drug trafficking, although I'm not entirely convinced. The US empire is certainly shitty and is just rebooting its tried and true formula for regime change in Latin America. Everything about the story is fake and stupid and being done for sleazy ulterior motives, mostly all having to do with money, power, and ultimately oil. So, more to come on that front this week. In other PSYOP news, Ghislaine Maxwell was hired to do PR for the Trump administration last month when she sat down for an interview with Trump's former personal attorney and now Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. The piece was so obviously just deal-making that Ghislaine would give glowing testimony about Trump to help clean up the massive shit tornado that has been his handling of the Epstein files. And in exchange, Trump moved her to a cushy new minimum security prison where she'll be more comfortable. I'm sure that she's also angling for a pardon by the end of his term. But The whole situation is just so insane from start to finish, and the response from Trump supporters was one of the most depressing things you could ever watch. Like, let's be clear. We discovered the world's most prolific child sex trafficking and blackmail ring. We took down the two apparent leaders of the network. One allegedly died mysteriously in prison while all the cameras were off and the guards were napping. And the other stood trial and was convicted in a court of law. In Ghislaine's trial, they chose to put the 4 best witnesses on the stand out of a pool of more than 100 accusers. She was convicted by a jury because of the mountains of evidence that proves her involvement, not just victim testimony, documentation, photos, videos, financials. We know that Maxwell was recruiting these incredibly young girls herself in person. We know where she was recruiting them from. We know how much she was paying them. We know the tactics that she was using, what she was saying. We know how they were covering it up. We know where the money was being banked. We know who the co-conspirators were, despite them all still walking free. And we have over 100 corroborating witnesses, basically all telling versions of the same story. Ghislaine Maxwell was also charged with 2 counts of perjury that never actually went to trial because the DOJ agreed to settle those counts in order to secure the more important trafficking conviction. The perjury charges didn't go away because they weren't true. They never went to trial at all because they wanted to get things over with and put a bow on it. And then, when Trump is in hot water over Epstein, he sends his good buddy Todd Blanche to record a puff piece where Maxwell tells all the same lies she told on the stand that are demonstrably false. And now you're supposed to believe her. Like, just stop and think about this for 1 second. Imagine that you lock up a murderer after an extensive trial with heaps of evidence and he's convicted on all that evidence, even though he says that he didn't do anything wrong, right? And then a year later, you go to him in jail and say, hey, did you do it? And he says, no. And so you're like, oh shit, dude, this dude must be innocent. He says he didn't do it. Case closed. Let's get this guy out. Set him free. He's all good, bro. That is what this thing with Ghislaine is. Okay? Here are just a couple of the blatant lies that Ghislaine told in her testimony. She said that there were never any cameras inside of any of Epstein's homes, and certainly never in any inappropriate places like a bedroom or a bathroom. She said this multiple times in very explicit and detailed language, like here, where she said, quote, no cameras anywhere outside of possibly things that I would consider normal. So the garage gate, something like that, a front door. Todd adds outside, like security cameras. Yeah, security cameras. And again, here, as just one more example of several where Todd Blanche said, but from what you know, you do not believe a camera exists, or a video camera or a camera that takes pictures inside of any of his residences. Correct. Despite the fact that we have literal photos of cameras in his bedroom, right? Despite the fact that the FBI confiscated binders of photos and videos on CDs from Epstein's mansion when they raided it and reported finding hidden cameras throughout the house. That is just scratching the surface of the evidence of video cameras and sexual blackmail that we have. Ghislaine also claimed that she never recruited anyone from Mar-a-Lago, which is where Virginia
Sorry, guys, I'm
Frey
just getting
was
my girl
recruited from.
situated. Let's continue
Okay, except
listening to
that
this. I'll be right
Trump
back.
himself has corroborated that Virginia was recruited from Mar-a-Lago. And I can't help but notice that Mr. Blanche didn't even ask Ghislaine about one of the most significant pieces of evidence in the whole story, probably in the whole world. This photo of her with Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre taken in Ghislaine's own apartment in London. So, if Ghislaine didn't recruit and traffic children, then why is this 17-year-old girl from Palm Beach standing in Ghislaine's apartment halfway around the world with Prince Andrew's arm around her waist? That's kind of weird. Well, Ghislaine's answer has always been that it's a fake photo. Prince Andrew ran with the same line, which is probably the best that they can do, seeing as there's no other possible explanation for its existence. But that photo has been extensively verified by forensic experts, by the photographer that originally broke the story, by a whole host of analysis. It's a real photo. Quote, the photograph also had a stamp that reads 000 number 15, 13th March 01, Walgreens 1 hour photo, which insinuates the picture was developed in a 1 hour service on 13th of March 2001 at a branch of Walgreens. Quote, A Florida-based photographic expert and court witness, Joel Van Hemel, also said he had no doubt the photo was genuine when shown the back of the photo. It was definitely produced in a Walgreens for sure, probably using a Noritsu or Fuji machine. Prince Andrew paid an undisclosed number of millions of dollars to Virginia Giuffre to avoid facing her in open court, and Ghislaine Maxwell herself paid Virginia her own undisclosed number of millions to settle a defamation suit that Virginia brought against her. But yeah, you're supposed to believe a single word out of this lying demon's mouth. And it's not even about Trump. This is not about Trump. I'm not claiming that this proves anything about the guy. This is way bigger than Trump. And if half the country can pretend like, oh, maybe Ghislaine's a good guy, maybe she's just telling the truth and wasn't even really doing all that much at all, and just because like you want Trump to be some paragon of angelic perfection is psychotic, okay? It's retarded. Stop it. You're making your team look so fucking stupid. It's hard to look at. Epstein didn't kill himself. He didn't bank himself. He didn't employ himself. They are all in on it. They're all covering it up. They all
26 more likes, you guys. We'll be at 200. Thank you guys so much for love and support. Sorry, I had to make myself a steak. I'm also loving my kids, as you can hear them in the background. But I love you guys so much for running it up tonight. Thank you guys so much. After this video, I got to get off. So let's finish strong and get to 200 likes. I love you guys.
all deserve to face trial for their part in this crime against humanity and against America. And if Trump is just scared that there might be a little bit of backlash on him because of like implications from the thing, it's like, if Trump didn't do anything wrong, then fucking let it out. And we will forgive you for being friends with him back in the day, bro. But like, whatever's going on now doesn't look like that. All these motherfuckers deserve to be tried, imprisoned, and maybe more. Okay? End of story. Except that that's not the end of the story. Because last week, we got renewed attention on a set of leaked emails that actually hit the internet a couple of months ago, but they took some time to circulate and be verified and dug open. Over 100,000 emails to and from Ehud Barak are on the internet and available for download. And I spent the last couple of days completely sidetracked by trying to find some way to get AI to help me organize and scrape through all of them to get a sense for what they actually contain. And I'm still just at the beginning of my analysis, but from what I've seen already, some very clear trends emerge. First off, the email trove only spans from October 10th, 2014 to September 9th, 2015. So that's an 11-month time period. And at least the data set that I have is specifically from that time period. I believe that some of the reporting coming out about Peter Thiel's part in the emails is being done by people with access to other caches of emails, because he's actually not in the main set that's going around. So I plan to dig more into why that's happening later this week. But in just this 11-month range, there are over 83 emails in the file between Jeffrey Epstein and Ehud Barak. Many of them are short, basically, you up, boo. And many of them are asking to speak on the phone instead of over message, because these guys weren't dumb. They knew that their correspondences might one day wind up in the hands of some asshole like me and get plastered all over the internet, okay? But it is readily apparent that these guys were working closely together on intelligence operations. Many of these emails are about organizing meetings with powerful individuals, gaining access, and exploiting relationships. Many of them are about money and investments. One big one that's mentioned repeatedly throughout this batch of emails is Reporty, which is a cyber tech company, an Israeli cyber company that's now known as Carbine 911, that has been extensively reported on by Whitney Webb. This is an Israeli military intelligence cyber startup that Ehud and Epstein eventually wound up investing in alongside Peter Thiel's Founders Fund, who invested $15 million in 2018. Jeffrey Epstein also invested $1 million in the company as early as 2016, using a bunch of offshore shell companies set up by Ehud Barak to hide Epstein's involvement in the deal. Johnny Vedmore has done extensive reporting on Nicole Junkerman, who is at the center of this whole piece of the story, and we will probably report more on her and on it over the coming weeks. I also put up a video the other day about an online intelligence service that Ehud Barak was apparently subscribed to for at least $3,000 annually that sent him regular reports about powerful people of his choosing all around the world. And the pattern of those reports indicates that he was paying to keep tabs on the Clintons through Hillary's 2016 campaign, tech moguls like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, politicians like Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as a bunch of other powerful people. There's a lot more to dig up in these email leaks, and I'll be publishing more about it as I dig deeper into them. There is a lot more.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Much love to everybody tonight. I wasn't gonna go live, but hey, I went live, and we keep running it up. We're gonna continue running it up. Thank you to the 100 people who subscribed today. We continuously run it up. Hundreds of people every day subscribe, and we continuously just bring more people here to join the family, whether it's on Rumble or Kick or on here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here, and I'll catch you the next time. I might be live tomorrow. I most likely will be live tomorrow, but 1 o'clock like usual. Today I wasn't live at 1. I was live after I got off work. So, but I love you guys. I'm gonna go spend some time with my kids, eat my steak and all that. God bless you guys. We'll go over some stuff tomorrow from this stream, and yeah, deuces.